Hi, it's Sherry Kaler, and I have a new seated practice for you today. If you like these videos, please take a moment to like them. Please take a moment to subscribe to this channel. I also love to see your comments, so take a moment and add one of those if you if you got a moment. What I want to show you, you can see I'm playing around with a yoga strap here today. I'm going to talk about a seated version of the hand to big toe, Padangusthasana. And this is actually a pose that is seen more commonly done supine, laying down on the floor. You can actually see, I'll link to it. I have a video that I do that show you the supine version of it and remind you that it's a great one to do on top of your bed, especially if you're a person who does not easily get down to the floor. Seated though, you really do need a yoga strap for this one, or you could use a dog leash, a bathrobe tie, a belt. A conventional belt is probably not going to be long enough. This is one of those because hand to big toe, right? You see that issue there, and I cannot easily get my hand to my big toe. There's quite a few inches. And one of the reasons that we use a strap instead of just kind of crouching over there, get to our hands to our big toes, is to prevent us from having loaded flexion in our spine. Now, this is something that predominantly affects people with low bone density. If you have osteopenia or osteoporosis, particularly in your spine, and you are new to doing forward folds, right? Going forward, when we curve and go forward like that, which is a movement our spine makes, but as we have lower bone density, that forward motion can create the opportunity for a compression fracture. So if I hunched forward there, I can get my hand to my toe, but you can see that big old curve that has in my back. I am actually a person who has osteopenia in my spine and osteoporosis in my femurs, but because I have been doing yoga for over 23 years, my physical therapists and physicians feel like it's fairly safe so long as I am mindful and cautious in doing that loaded flexion. I'm kind of an exception to the rule though. So I want to show how to do hand to big toe seated in a chair using a strap. Now, the strap I grabbed in particular for this is this OPTP stretch out strap that you may see me mention in others. I'm not an affiliate, but because I have problems with my thumbs, particularly in my hands, due to the way that they are degenerating rapidly because of Ehlers-Danlos syndrome, this is a great one because it is made of loops. You can kind of see all these loops. Because we don't want to curve over and have that loaded flexion, we don't want to like lean over to the floor and put our foot into a loop. So we want something that we can just get underneath our foot there. And that works pretty well. If any kind of strap you're using or a dog leash here, you just want to loop your foot underneath it, right? And then the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to make sure I'm really firmly on my chair here. I'm kind of seated a little bit forward so my feet are flat on the floor. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to stretch my foot out here in front of me. I'm going to pull the toes back towards me, stretch out through the bottom of the foot. You can see me kind of wiggling the strap there so it's on the very bottom of the ball of the foot. And I'm pushing out through the foot. So here's just the first variation of this pose, just that. Now, what you'll usually see, right, we cross in this pose. So I'm going to take the strap over to here in my left hand, and I'm going to just bring my leg across a couple of times. If you're very stiff through the hips, it can be good to do this a couple of times before we then hold it. And I've got my right hand as I've switched here to the strap being in the left hand and I'm crossing. I could go lower here too, if that works, or higher. It's a little awkward, right, to work around that leg. You could also move that leg over and have more room to move your leg. All right, and then I'm going to bring that back and just bring the leg down to give it a little break. Okay, and move my hip back and forth. Right, I might move my ankle a couple times. And then I'm going to loop that underneath there again. Push the foot out in front of me. This time I'm going to take the strap over to the right hand and bring my left hand here to the chair. And then I'm going to reach my right leg out to the right here. And a little bit off camera, let me turn. See, I'm just going out to the side so I get a little bit of stretch. And I'm pushing through that left leg, holding with my left hand. And then I'm going to bring that back in front of me and then back down. And move that a little side to side. Let's do the other leg. Now, an option you could do, right? There's the strap option, but you could also just pick this leg up. Yeah, a little movement there for the ankle. And then hold that, now left leg in the right hand, and pull that over. You can see my left hand's coming to the chair, and I'm just pulling my knee across till I feel a little stretch here in the hip. Right, let that release, bring that down, right? If I wanted to go out in front, I could hook both hands underneath and come out in front and go that way. I could cross just using the hand. I'm holding it here at the knee, back. Let's bring that down, a little bit of movement. And you could also, right, come up and out to the side like that. You can see my right hand went to the chair for a little support. I'm pushing out of the right foot. And again, I might want to lengthen. So two versions are seated using a strap, right? Which there's that same variation with the strap there. Out, crossing, and down. All of those work. You can use just your hands, you can use a strap, but versions on how to kind of play around with that pose while still seated in a chair. I also will have a standing version of this video, so check into the related videos. One thing I do also have, you might check out my video, do you really need to buy a yoga strap? This is one of the times where I'm like, a yoga strap is really useful, but I did mention you could use a few things like a dog leash that are long if you don't want to buy a yoga strap. So if you want to look up some more ideas, check out that video. If you're still here with me at the end, take a moment and drop a little emoji, your favorite emoji, in the comments to let me know you hung out here with me to the end. And check out the related videos in the playlist for hand to big toe. I nearly said supine. Supine is one of the versions. We have our seated version and a standing version of hand to big toe. Thanks so much for joining me, and thanks for your practice. Peace, peace, peace. Make sure to hit that like button and subscribe. Thanks so much.